Hello and welcome. I am Scrapperlock. This is AO Tennis 2. So I have recorded a bunch of these before. You may have seen them on my channel. They went up and came down. And I'll explain why that is. But I'm going to start another Let's Play, and we'll see if people want to watch. If not, I can stop posting it. Um, I originally recorded about 10 episodes of this game, and I was following the career of Anna Kournikova. But all the videos I put up, I realized after a little while, I noticed in the list had a copyright warning. It wasn't a strike. Um, at first, I wasn't sure what happened, and I didn't want my channel to get into trouble, so I just took it all down. Um, After some investigating, however, I think a big chunk of it was the music. I wasn't sure whether it was entirely the music or whether some of it was the fact that I was using a real life person and reenacting that person's career. And so I didn't know if I got into trouble for that. So we're going to do a career with a completely fabricated person, and that person shouldn't get me into any trouble. Now we're going to be playing characters in the game that are named after real people because they have Rafael Nadal and Serena Williams and stuff in the game, but those characters are allowed to be in the game because those players added their likenesses to the game. They signed something, right? When they played at the Australian Open, maybe they signed a thing saying you can use my likeness in your video game. I don't know. Anna Kournikova hasn't played tennis in 20 years, and I'm very doubtful that she would have signed her likeness over. So I didn't know if I was getting into trouble for that or what. So I think if we did a career with a character that's in the game, it would be safe. But if we start pulling in like Tracy Austin or Jimmy Connors or whatever, and those people didn't sign their likeness away to AO Tennis, maybe I'm not supposed to put them on YouTube. I just don't know. So I will continue actually playing Anna Kournikova's career. She's in her second year in the Australian Open in the quarterfinals and kicking butt. But we're going to create a new character here in a moment. And so I just wanted to explain that. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the career mode. I'm not going to show you every bit of character creation because it would probably be pretty boring to watch me being really picky about the face and everything else. Um, so you can start either a male or a female career. We're going to do a female character. There are several reasons for this. First of all, since probably the 90s, I have preferred women's tennis to men's tennis. Now I'm not happy with any of them because it's all power game. But the men's tennis turned into a hardcore power game where it was all power baselining in kind of the late 90s. Sampras was pretty much the only serve and volleyer left at that point after like Edberg and a few of the others retired. And by the 2000s, it's really become that way. And the women's game has been slower to get there, although it's certainly gotten there now. And you're basically watching people slugging at each other from the baseline through the whole match, which I don't find interesting to either play or watch. When I was a player in singles, I always tried to I didn't serve and volley because I didn't have a good serve, but I always tried to come into the net on short balls. And usually my friends did too because it's just more fun to come to the net and then somebody tries to make a passing shot and all of that. So we're going to do a female career because I've tended to like the women's game for a long time better than the men's game, but also because in the big tournaments like the Grand Slams and some of the other big ones, the majors, males do 5 set matches, and I don't want to do a 5 set. It just takes too long. Now you can set it to any number of sets and games and match, per match that you want in the settings, and you'll see that. But my preference is to play it correctly, which is 3 set matches in all tournaments, and that's the way the females are. So we're going to do a female career, and we're going to set it to semi-pro for now. I've been winning very consistently on semi-pro, and with Anna Kournikova, who's a 74 or something overall rating now and is much stronger than this beginning character will be after a year of playing and getting experience and stuff, I can win pretty reliably on semi-pro, and I was starting to think I should probably put it up to pro once the Australian Open is over. I wanted to see how I do against ranked players, which I haven't had to do. The Australian Open, like all of the ranked players were getting upset by the AI. So I played like the number 13 seed in the first round, and then I've gone through playing unranked players right to the quarterfinals. And I think I might play my first ranked player again, seeded player in like the semis. So I want to see how I do against them. On semi-pro, if I can still pretty much kick their butts and not drop a set, then I think I'll put it up to pro. And I might do that with this character depending on how it plays as we go. And I'll talk about that more when the time comes. U.S. dollar currency, standard point system. We're going to use tie breaks. There's supposed to be 7 points. We will decide the final set with a tie break, and should be 7 points. I don't know why they have it for 10 there. 6 games per set. You can lower it. I consider doing that for the futures to make the matches shorter, but my brain always thinks when I'm playing tennis in 6 game sets, and I think I just want to continue to do that. So this is how we're going to start the career, and then we will go ahead and get started. We're going to create a new player. When I did Anna Kournikova, she was a star player. You can do that. You can import a player from your player list, but the problem is then you don't get all of the new career cutscenes and stuff. So I haven't seen that by playing with Anna Kournikova, so I want to be able to actually see that with a brand new player. So our new player is going to be a female who is going to be from Italy. And the reason I've chosen Italy, there's a couple of reasons. One is, other than, what's her name, Francesca Schiavelli or whatever her name is, Schiavone, not very many Italians have done very well in tennis, and don't not very many Grand Slams have been won by them. So I'd like to to do that. And my family, their roots are Italian, although multiple generations have been since the 1800s have been in the United States. So we're going to do an Italian woman. So her first name is going to be Anabella. A nice Italian name. And her surname is going to be Mancinelli. And I just sort of looked up, Italian last names and stuff. Her date of birth is going to be March, was it 15th? I think I randomly rolled. No, it's March 21st, sorry. I randomly rolled dice. There's March 21st. I randomly rolled dice to pick the month and the day. So the way I did that, if you want to know D12 for the month, number 3 is March, and then since it's a month with 31 days in it, I rolled a D20 plus D12 minus 1. So if you roll double ones, double ones minus 1 is 1, so you get the first of the month. And if you roll 20 plus 12, you get 32, minus 1 is 31. So that gives me all 31 days. We got 21 March. So what I'm going to do is pause it here and see if I can come up with a surname for the voiceover that's close to Mancinelli. And if I can't, I'll just leave it blank. Then it'll just say game player 1, right? But if I can get it close, it'll say game blah blah blah, or whatever that's pretty close, and it'll sound like it's saying Mancinelli because it's a little bit distorted when on purpose when the sound comes across for the name, because they want to give you a chance to feel like it's your name being said, even though it may not be, because they might not actually have it in their database. So I'm going to pause it here. When I come back, we'll finish up, and then we'll start talking about how we're going to work on the character. I'm also going to do the appearance offline, because I don't think you guys want to sit there and watch me playing around with the face and the hair and the clothing. So I will do the voice. We'll get this set up, and then I'll pause it again and bring you back when we're working on leveling up. All right, well, there really isn't a name that works. I noticed something really funny. It goes alphabetically. After you get to Z, it gets to Del Potro. That's really weird. It's almost like they forgot to put his name in and then threw it in at the end of the list. So her voice is going to be, I think, that one. And then her nationality and her residence will be in Italy. It's interesting. I remember when I was younger, almost all of the players, wherever their place of birth was and their nationality and what country they were playing for, almost all of them lived in Monte Carlo for tax purposes. There were a few who didn't. I remember Ivan Lendl lived in Greenwich, Connecticut. But I don't remember if he was a citizen. No, he was a citizen of Czechoslovakia, but a lot of them lived in Monte Carlo. That was their place of residence for tax purposes. All right, should she turn pro in 2020? You can't even edit that. Um, all right. So now what I'm going to do is work on her appearance. I do want to point out there are lots of great, um, options. You can change all of these things: for brow height, brow angle, and so on. Nose, eyes, ears, mouth, hair, all of it. It's quite nice, and I'm going to be playing with this quite a bit, and then I will bring you back when I have a character that I like the look of. All right, folks, we're back with Anabella Mancinelli. Um, so this is the costume or whatever outfit I've given her. Basically, the colors of Italy for now. She doesn't have any endorsements, so I didn't put any logos on her clothes. The only thing I gave her on her racket bag is I put a head logo on it, which by the way I had to download because they didn't actually have this one in the game by default for some reason, even though they have head rackets, because that's her racket company, and I just figured, yeah, it'd probably be stamped on her bag. But she doesn't have any endorsements yet because she's a new player. I do have to fix one thing with her hairband. Yeah, her hairband needs to be white. So one thing I don't like about this game is it gives you the colors as numbers, right? Like 1, 1, 256, but there's no way to like copy and just paste that color. So you have to like, and there's no way to type it in. So you have to like play around with the dials to get it right, which is a little frustrating. Anyway, so this is Anabella. I think she looks pretty good. And now we have to figure out her play style. She's going to be right-handed. We're going to give her two-handed backhand. It's pretty common. I always used a one-handed, but two-handed backhand is pretty common. Her stroke style, they don't give you a lot of options to start with. You have to win these options by playing exhibitions. So for whatever reason, they'll let us start with Ash Barty, who was a top Australian player. Generic and smooth. And I think I like the way smooth looks better than generic. We take a look at the backhand there. It looks pretty good. Serve style, options are generic, smooth, stylish, and Barty. I think we're going to go with smooth as well compared to stylish. Yeah, I think smooth is a little better to me. I like the way that looks. And then the receive style is going to be generic. I guess look from behind because that's what we're going to see most of the time. Planted is too low to me. Barty is very low. And again, I don't want her to be to seem like, oh, maybe controlled is pretty good. Controlled versus generic. I think we'll do generic. Net aggression is going to be high. I'm going to definitely have this character being a net player a lot. Her preferred style will be grass because she's a net player and she's an all-rounder. She's not a specialist in singles or doubles. So it looks like we've got her pretty well set. And then the last thing we have to do is level her up. So you get an overall rating from two things. And this is actually confusing when you're in career mode if you haven't played at all before, which is what happened to me the first time I did it. There are two types of traits, as they would call them in Savage Worlds, right? Savage Worlds has attributes and skills, and those are traits. And your overall rating is based on your attributes and your skills. The skills you can buy with money. Basically, you're paying to train the skill, a flat serve, a sliced backhand. But your attributes, which are your speed, your reflexes, your stamina, your power, and your serve ability, your serve speed, those are like the equivalent of strength and constitution in Dungeons and Dragons, and those get leveled up just by those get increased by just gaining experience and leveling up. And as you gain a level, she's going to start at around 15th level, I think, and you can go up to, I think it's 50th or 40th, I can't remember. As you go up levels, you gain attribute points that you can use for free without costing money to raise your attributes. You started at 30 in everything to begin with, and then as you gain levels, you can do better. But it doesn't show you that in character creation because you have to start at 30 in everything. So I guess they don't want to confuse you by giving you dials that you can't change. If you look at the actual skills, you can see that our skills go from this negative to the positive, and we have 0 in them right now. But as you start adding to it, right now we have 10 skill, and it goes up to 99. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Oops, we have to stop. How does it go over 70? How does it get to 90? Well, the way it gets to 90 is by training, and when you train, you can increase not the skill, but the max of the skill. So you train, and you can get the max of the skill from 70 to 76, right? So what I'm going to do is start her best stuff at 60. She's going to have a topspin forehand that will be 60. She's going to have a sliced backhand that will be 60. This is sort of the standard common way. Most players begin with a topspin forehand or a flat forehand and a sliced backhand. It's just easier to slice the backhand, especially if you're a one-hander. Two-handers can do a little bit better with topspin just because of the way they twist the racket. But we're going to start with her having a sliced backhand and a topspin forehand. You'll notice when we do training, when we train the sliced backhand, she does the sliced backhand one-handed, even though she's a two-handed backhand player, because usually you don't need two-handed for slice. Which is why the one-handers like Martina Navratilova tend to do slice backhand a lot. The other thing I wanted to have a really good score in is volley, so we're going to crank that up to 60. I'm leaving it at 60 rather than 70 because if you notice, it costs 2,677 to go up a point here. It costs $1 to go up here, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6. Each one costs more. So going from like 0 to 30 or 40 is pretty cheap, but going from 60 to 70 is going to cost a lot of money, right? 30,000 bucks. Right, for 30,000 bucks, we can get the drop shot, drop volley, and lob all up to like 30 or 40 each. So we don't want to leave these other things at 0. I think we then want to get the other serves up to about 40. I think we can do that. I want to definitely have a pretty good flat backhand and topspin flat forehand and topspin backhand. And then I don't know if we can get all these to 50. If we can, it would be great. So we have $5,000 left, and we've got 50s on most of these things. Let's go ahead and put these skills at about 30. And that leaves us with 279 bucks. Can we do anything with the serve? Nope. We can do, well, we have $890. We can move it up 1. I don't think it's worth doing. So what I'd rather do is move the lob up a few. We get to 33. That's it. And now we have $26 left. And this is how we start with 50 and everything, 40s in 2 of the serves, 60 in the topspin serve, which I'll use a lot more to begin with, and eventually we'll train the other serves and when we start making money. But the other thing I'm going to mention here is, and somebody on the Steam forum said this, is when he starts a new player, he doesn't go straight into tournaments. Instead, he does training for like the whole first year, just so you can gain experience and get your stats up. So we're going to probably do, I don't know if we're going to do a year, but we're going to do a bunch of training, but we're also going to want to go into some exhibitions to get some different styles to our ground strokes, our serves, and our receive, particularly our return position. I'd like a different return position for that. So this is Anabella Mancinelli, and we are ready to enter the game.
There you are. Have a seat, have a seat. I'm so happy you've turned pro. I knew you had this in you from when you were just a child.
This is our coach.
We'll catch up from time to time, run through some important decisions, and do what we can to get you some titles. And then, who knows, world number 1? Have a look through your tablet, as this is where we'll work on things like training, sponsorship decisions, and more.
All right, so we are in the new year. And let me just check one thing. How are we doing on time? We're at 18 minutes. Okay, so that's not too bad. So let me show you the attributes. We have 30 in everything: 30 power, 30 reflexes, serve speed, stamina, and speed. The first couple levels you only get 3 points, and then I guess after like 3 levels you start getting 9 points each. So what we're going to want to do is crank everything up to 39 first, and then 48, and then 57. And once we're in the 50s, we'll be in pretty good shape, but that's going to take about 15 levels. So it's going to take a while. And then after that, I'm going to try to specialize in some other things, but I definitely wanted to get us over 50 in each of these stats as early as we can. The other thing I want to mention is there are different types of tournaments. You can see Turn Pro 2020. The types of tournaments are Futures, Challengers, Majors, and Slams, Grand Slams. Obviously, Grand Slams you have to be a certain rank to get in. You have to be in like the top, 200 or whatever to even have a chance. Majors you got to be in the top 250. These are something called the Worlds, and then Challengers you have to be in the top like 300 or something. And Futures anybody can play. They're sort of open. So at first we have to play in the Futures until we get some ranking, and then you play Challengers and so on. So if you look in the calendar, you can see that there's Futures 15. What does that mean? Well, it means you get about 15 ranking. It turns out 12 if you look below the map, 12 ranking points. So if you look at a tournament, you can see travel fatigue is if you get tired traveling from place to place, going from Como, Italy to Lille, France is trivial. You can take a train or whatever. So there's not a lot of travel fatigue. You don't need a qualifying rank. You can win $2,000 if you win it. And if you win it, you get 12 ranking points. It's hardcore and court, and it's a 1 week tournament. All of them seem to be 1 weeks, 1 week. Although I don't know about the Grand Slams, which should be 2 weeks. You can also rest or train. So we're gonna train the first week. If you see, I don't know if they have futures 25. Yeah, futures 25 will give you 25 ranking points. So the type of the tournament is listed first, and then how many ranking points you get. We don't want to do serve up hope. No, yeah. So this will give us the strong style. Um, so we're going to train, 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 rest. Actually, no. I think we want to train, 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 because that hopefully will level us up, and then we'll be a little tired, but we can play serve up hope, and then we will rest, and then train, and then train. Now we're not going to earn any money doing that for these first 2 months, but we will hopefully gain this. So you can see there's no qualifying rank. Anybody can play in it, but it's on clay, and we can unlock the strong. I don't know if it's the strong return style or serve style or what, but we'll get another style. And so we definitely want to play some of these. I don't care about the Nadal style, so we're not going to do that one. Um, this one gives us the Pliskova style. Don't probably care about that. Benchit style. I don't know if we're going to want those or not. But in any case, I definitely want the sort of generic, like strong, relaxed, etc. styles as options. So this is our calendar. The other thing I want to mention, if you look at the player to her left, there's a little cell phone battery thing. That's how tired or not tired she is. When it's fully green, she's not tired. When it's slim and red, she's very tired. The more fatigued your player is, the greater the chance that she will get hurt during matches, maybe get injured. Um, the little white dot in the middle, that's what her personality is like. Is she an angel or a devil? You can see during play she can act out and throw a tantrum, or she can be polite. I actually don't like the way they do this because some of the things they have as the angel move are actually pretty rude, and I don't know what that means. And I don't know if you just do the same move either way, animation wise, and it just gives you points for angel or devil. But what I want to do is crank her all the way up to angel, and then we'll forget about it because it doesn't seem to decay. We have the rankings here. You can see we don't have any ranking points at all. Is there any way to move up quickly? There doesn't seem to be. But you can see all these players have an overall of about 44, and then as we start going up, it's starting to get some ranking points, right? So these guys with the 1 point are all ranked at 1,110 in the world. So there are well over 1,000 players in the database. Most of these are randomly generated, and then when you get into the top 128 or so, they're actual players. Um, you can also invite somebody to be a doubles partner, but I'm not going to do that because I don't want to actually accidentally get into doubles tournaments. I've done that before. So now let's go ahead and train. And we're going to start with our serve, and we're going to start with the topspin serve. And with this activity, I tend to like to do the target multiplier. And so what you can see is there's a green circle in the center going out to red, and each circle gives you a multiplier. So I think the center green is times 10, the larger green is times 5, yellow is times 2, orange is times 1, something like that, red no points. And so if you hit the orange, you get 1 point, and then 2 points, and then 3 points. But if you hit the yellow and you're times 2, you get 2, and then 4, and then 8, and then 16. So every time you hit it, it doubles how many points you have. And so you'll see how it goes. To the right, they show the current score is what you have is in the blue, and the dark gray is how much left you have to learn before you hit your max. And then the gray bar that goes all the way to the end past the number 60, that's how high it can ever get. So you want to get the dark gray bar all the way up, and you do that by training. So I'll show you how that works. We're at level 1 because we've never trained it before, and we're a brand new character. And so we're going to go and train. You don't see your coach in any of these, just in the cutscenes. And by the way, there's no option to change your coach, like to a different character. Like say you want to have a female coach, or I don't know, a guy with a different accent. No, you just have the one guy. He coaches everybody. Must be a busy guy because every AO2 player has the same coach. So now we're going to go in, and so you can see the target. And so you press the B button for the topspin serve, and you want the yellow dot, the white dot to turn green, and there's going to be a little progress bar moving on the curved blue circle. This is next to the player's head, and then you move the target. You'll see it may be hard to see with it's a white dot. You move the target with the left joystick button. So that's times 10. So every time I hit it, it's going to multiply by 10 the points, right? Times 2. I'm not usually trying to aim for the center of the box like that. But there we go. One thing I don't like about this is it only ever serves you to the ad court, which is kind of dumb because, or sorry, to the deuce court. It never lets you practice in the ad court, and it really should. And so you're just trying to score over 500 points by multiplying. So now we're going to try to hit the edge. They didn't really have you serve up the T either. Just a slight tap of the joystick will get it over there. You don't have to hit too hard. And that takes care of it. So now what you're going to see is we will gain some XP. And it'll show us our current level. I don't know why it doesn't just start at level 1. It's really weird. But we're starting at level 17. And we gained about a quarter of a level. And plus 6. Now that's not... It is confusing with the bar because now the bar is blue. It should be dark gray because the blue bar on the previous UI was what you have, and the gray is what you can get to. And what we're adding is what we can get to, not to what we have, and that confused me originally. So our max in topspin serve has gone from 70 to 76, but we still only have a 60 topspin, right? It's very weird because practicing topspin serve didn't make us any better at it. To get better at it, you have to buy it. Right? All it did was raise our potential max. Right? We're now going to train another week, and this time we're going to do ordered numbers, and we're going to do, ordered numbers. And we're going to do the topspin forehand, because that's another one where we have a 60 already. So things where you have a 40 or a 30 in it, I don't need to move the max yet, because it's going to be thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars to get to that max. But when we're already at 60, it's not going to take much to get to 70. So we want to try to raise it up to 76, 82, or whatever to try and give us a higher max. So we're going to do counting numbers, and this is we're going to count numbers from 1 to 10 and try to hit a particular target with our topspin forehand, which is our best forehand shot. So hopefully this is informative for you guys. We're not going to play any matches in this episode, so if you want to see matches, you might want to stop here and go on to the next episode once it's posted. For this, I'm going to show you the training, and then hopefully we'll level up before the exhibition, and I'll show you how leveling up works. We're only going to be able to move a couple of points around, but at least you can see how that works. Okay, so now you have to hit the targets in order. Whoops. Okay, so it's starting me in the 2, so I don't really have to move it much. All right. Hopefully, if you did watch the now deleted videos and you have any memory of how I was playing in there, you can see that I have actually gotten a lot better at aiming. I would not have been able to hit those targets when I first started. I keep trying to steer it, and you kind of don't have to for the 2 box. Pushed it too far. That's a really tiny target to hit. But we got it. So you don't have infinite time on these, right? You have to, whoops. You have to get it within a certain time period, but hopefully we can get it. That looked good. And there we go. So we got our second set. And so each one of these gets you +2 to your max. So now we have at least +4. Oops. And this one goes to 10. And we got it. I used to hate training with that type of training just because, yeah, I used to struggle to hit those targets. So now we have half a level, and we have added 6 to the max of our forehand topspin. Now we're going to train the backhand slice. And let's do counting numbers so you can see how this works. This is where you're counting up to 20 or 25 by hitting the 5s or the 1 and the 4 added together. I usually just go for the 5s. It's not as challenging, actually, but I just want you to kind of see how that works. And then the next one we're going to do something similar, but with the volley. And so hopefully we'll get all of these up to a max of 76 and get a level. And then you can see how that works. So this is the backhand slice. You're going to see she's going to do it two-handed, or one-handed, sorry, even though she's a two-handed player, because you tend to slice with a single hand, even if you're a two-hander, just because of the way the racket head move works. It's easier if you take your hand off the racket. I think. I say I think because I was always a one-handed backhand player. I never used a two-handed backhand. Most of my friends were two-handers, but I always did a one. That's how I was taught originally by whatever lady at the community center when I was 10 years old, and with my wooden Wilson racket, taught us how to play. She taught us with a one-handed backhand. She said, you're better off if you can do it with a one-handed, because then if you have to take your, if you have to stretch, you have to take your hand off the racket, then you can't use two hands, and then you're not used to it. So I just learned as a one-hander and never did two-handed. I found it very uncomfortable to do two-handed. My left hand is really not great, and so I was just better off just using my right hand. All right, so now we're going to train volley, because that's the other thing we put up to 60. We're going to go ahead and do counting numbers for this just because it's a little easier, and I want to see if I can get this, because the volley is tougher to do. As you're going to see, the machine, like literally at the moment the machine sends the ball to you, if not slightly before it sends the ball to you, you have to hit the button to try and do the volley, and it's really hard to steer it exactly where it wants you to steer it. So, and the other thing I struggle with is that because it's on about 80% movement assist, it defaults to 99, I think, but I've lowered it to 80. It sometimes sends the character in like places I don't want her to go, like that. I did not run her back, right? And I didn't swing that either, by the way. Come on, stop running back. See, I'm not controlling that. I'm not moving her. That's the movement assist. There we go. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Got it. So that's one of them at least. We get 2 points. There we go. No, I don't want it to go there. I don't want to have to hit the fours. That's it. That's what we want. All right, let's see if we can do it this way. Nope. See, I didn't get it. It took me too long. So part of the problem is that you have to. It takes you so long to steer the ball that you can't always get it into the box. Got it. All right, so I got 2 out of the 3, so that should get us up to 74. Don't know if that's going to get us enough XP to level up. Oh! We just missed it. That is unfortunate, guys. She will get enough XP from playing, I think, to level up, but we couldn't level up there because I missed that one of the 3 rounds of the volleying. So anyway, that's how this works for the training. When we come back next time in the next episode, Annabelle will be playing in the Serve Up Hope charity in her home country of Italy. She's from Florence. I don't know why it had her in Como. It didn't give me the option to do anything else. The other thing I want to mention, this actually does aggravate me. Here in player. Yeah, it has her birth date as 2002. No, she's not 18. She's supposed to be 16 when she turns pro. I mean, most players turn pro around then. It just asked me when I wanted to turn her pro. It didn't give me a choice of what birth year to give her, which kind of annoys me. And I don't think there's any way to edit it. So anyway, I guess technically she's 18. She's supposed to be 16. In the next episode, we will try our first tournament with her as an exhibition and see how she plays. Until next time, guys, I am Scrapperlock, and this has been Scrapperlock Plays AO Tennis 2 Career Mode.